Here's a quick tutorial on graphing in Google Sheets. So this is the vapor pressure data from the Graphing with Excel lab. Now, assuming that you can take and cut and paste the data in, you should be able to do this from the document that the original vapor pressure data is in. It's a nice table, it's a Word document, and you can go ahead and cut and paste your data in. When you have your data cut and pasted in, we're going to need to graph it. So if we want to graph this data, we're going to take and click and drag across both the temperature and the two columns. If we wish to do these in two separate graphs, we can click and drag across temperature and the first set of data. When we want to graph, we're going to go to Insert, Chart. When we insert a chart, it's going to come up here as a column. It's going to open up the chart editor on the right side, and the first thing you're going to see is chart type. Click on that and scroll down until you get scatter. Make sure you pick a scatter with no lines, and it's going to look something like that. We can edit that from there. If you wish to take and instead graph the first column and then this second set of data with the vapor pressure of ethanol, you'll hold down the control key. So you'll click and drag down the temperature, hold down the control key and click and drag down the ethanol data. And once you do that, you can go back to Insert, Chart. Chart type will come up. Again, scroll down and you will get yourself a nice scatter plot. It's kind of nice to have both of them on the same plot, so I'm going to delete both of those, and I'm simply going to graph both of them together. So I'm going to take my data, click and drag across. I'm going to Insert, Chart, and when I do this, I've got my data. I'm still going to go scatter, so I'm going to click and drag down under chart type to a scatter plot, and I will get this. Now, this doesn't have as much as I need on it, and I need to edit this. I need to add trend lines. I need to add data, the axis labels for the X and Y axis, and I need to fix the name of the graph itself. So I'm going to go over here to Customize. When I go to Customize, I can change what this looks like, but I'm going to start with chart and axis titles. Horizontal axis is temperature in degrees Celsius, which is fine. Vertical is unlabeled, so I'm going to put one in, and I'm going to put the vapor pressure in torr. Make sure you put in on your axis title what it is and the unit so you can go back and read it. I'm going to go to here now, and it gives you all of your options, chart title, horizontal and vertical axis titles in the same set. Go to axis or your chart title, and I'm going to put VP data for Graphing with Excel. All right, so I now have my data and it's graphed. With this, I can do a lot of things. One, if I need to add grid lines, I can go down here to the bottom and add grid lines. It starts out as your major, but if you wish to, you can put minor, which are just the smaller ones. So you can always take and add grid lines to it. If I wanted horizontal ones, I'd go here and I'd scroll down so I can read this and go into add horizontal as well. Put in some grid lines. But mostly what we need with this are trend lines. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to add a trend line to both of these. Now, a trend line is a best fit line that the Google Sheets is going to calculate for us. If I click here, first of all, to get a trend line, and it makes absolutely no sense, you're just going to have to believe me, click on series. If you put in all the series, I don't know what it's going to do, but I'm sure it's going to be ugly, so we want them separate. I'm going to start with the chloroform first. So instead of where it says apply to all series, I'm going to go to series, click this open, and pick chloroform. I'm going to scroll down. It's going to give me what color do I want, what do I want to do with this, and then it's going to give me a trend line. Now the trend line is always going to be linear unless we tell it otherwise. This is the Clausius-Clapeyron, which we know is an exponential function. So I'm going to change that to exponential. I can change what it looks like here, and I'm going to keep scrolling down until I get to label. Once you get to label, click on use equation. That is going to put what we call the best fit line or the trend line here on the chart for us. I'm going to go back and do the same thing with the ethanol data, and I'm going to take and I'm going to select the ethanol data. I'm going to go down. I'm going to add a trend line. Again, it's going to be linear. I'm going to keep going down and select exponential, so it'd be a nice clean fit. And then I'll go down to where it says label, and I'll use the equation. At this point, I have axis labels. I have a chart title. I have my data fit with the correct fit, exponential in both cases, and I have the equations for the trend line on the lab. or on the chart. So that is a good start for the first set of data. If you want to click and move stuff, you can just take and select it. If you wish to embed this chart into something, this is nice and simple. All you have to do is go to these three dots over here at the top right of the chart. And when you do this, one of the options comes in as copy chart. And when you do that, you can actually click and drag it and dump it into the middle of a Excel doc or a Word doc and allow you to, for example, write your formal lab reports with it. So I'm going to click and drag that out of the way. Now, assuming that we can do the math in here, we need to take and make the linear form. To make the linear form, we need to do the math. So I'm going to go over here and delete the math quickly and show you how to do that. Excel or Google Sheets is very good about doing math. So just take and apply the function that I need, which is that I need 1 over the temperature in Kelvin for the linear form rather than just the temperature in degrees Celsius. I'm going to go to the cell I want my data to be in, and I'm going to hit equals 1 divided by open parentheses. I'm going to put 273 because I know to go from Celsius to Kelvin, I add 273. And then I'm going to click the cell of my first data point. I don't want to type the first data point in because that would turn this into a calculator. I want it slicker than that because I want to apply the equation to all the cells. So if I hit enter, it's going to give me that value. With Google Sheets and Excel, you can do the same thing. You can take and select whatever function you have in a cell. If you do this and you select it, you're going to see your nice arrow-shaped pointer. If I move that to the bottom right corner of the cell, it goes from the pointer to this bold cross. If I left click and drag down, I can take the mathematical function that's in that cell and apply it to all of the cells, and I only have to do it once. I can do the same thing with the vapor pressure data. In order to get the linear form, I don't want straight vapor pressure. I want the natural log of the vapor pressure. I've already labeled these. So I'm going to hit equals, and you have to hit equals first, otherwise it's going to give you an error. I'm going to put equals open parentheses after the natural log, and I'm going to go click the vapor pressure data, the first vapor pressure piece of data I have, hit close parentheses and hit enter. I'm going to take my pointer and move it again to the bottom right side, click and drag down. And now I have vapor pressure data, natural logged, in that column. I'm going to go to the ethanol. Again, equal first. Type in the function you want, natural log, ln. Excel and Sheets require both in open parentheses. I'm going to click on the cell of the first data point I want, close parentheses to finish that out, hit enter, and you can take and do the math in that cell. If I go and click on it, move the mouse to the bottom right corner of that cell, I can click and drag down, and now I have the math I need to do the Clausius-Clapeyron in the linear form. So now I need to graph it. This one is not as straightforward as the first graph, so we're going to walk through it a little more slowly. I'm going to click and drag across the data. I'm going to do the whole thing. Works better if you do all of it. And I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to go to Chart, and I'm going to get some incredible mess coming out. I'm going to go back to my setup, which is the left side of the button here. I'm going to go to my chart type, click down to a scatter plot, and I'm going to get that. Now, the problem with that is, for whatever reason, and don't ask me why, Google Sheets has taken, and if you scroll down setup, you will see here it says switch rows and columns. I don't know how to undo that automatically, so I'm not going to. I'm simply going to select that, and it's going to give me my data graphed correctly. So again, deleting this. After you've done your math, click and drag across. Insert, chart. You're in the setup form. Go down to scatter. Once you've got your scatter point plot and it looks like this crazy thing, drag down to where it's switch rows and columns and select that. Now, I'm going to customize this and do this and make it look exactly what I want. First of all, the labels are meaningless or incorrect. The chart title should be vapor pressure, or say natural log of the vapor pressure versus 1 over temperature for chloroform. Sorry, I can't see what I'm typing. And ethanol. All right, once I've got that, I've got a title for this. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get my axes correct. So I'm going to go back into my chart. If I click on those three little dots at the top, I can edit it. I'm going to back to customize. I'm going to go to the labels and I'm going to go to the horizontal x-axis. I want that to be 1 over the temperature in Kelvin. And on the y-axis, I want this to be natural log of the vapor pressure. And at this stage, I have this moderately well set up. I have axis titles. I have a chart title. You're going to make that slicker for you. But now I need the trend lines. So again, to do the trend lines, we're going to stick to customize. Instead of being in the chart titles and axis titles, I'm going to go down to series. And instead of applying to all series, I'm going to pick one. I'm going to scroll down to where it says trend line. In this case, this is the linear form, so I leave it as it is. Scroll down, go to label, and put use equation. I'm going to go up to, instead of apply to all series again, I'm going to pick the second one, data series 2, go down to trend line, and then go down to label, use the equation. And so now what I have is the linear form, I have the equations that I need, and this is graphed.